crazy idea.
We're getting tons of international interest.
A global rollout would be a huge hit. Let's talk after lunch.
Global rollout. Where do we start? Already done?
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Replit Live. Today, we're going to go deep. It's been a little while since we did a true deep dive between the build-a-thons and all the product announcements and everything that's been going on. We kind of just been like doing lots of other stuff. So today, we're going to nerd out a little bit and get back into working with the agent and show you what it's like or the best way to kind of work with parallel tasks inside of the agent. So before we get into that, we're going to do our whole spiel. We're going to go through some community updates, talk a little bit about what's going on, say what's up to Manny. What's up, Manny? How you doing?
Oh, I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped to have these back. I think people have been asking for these, like, hey, we need our deep dive scratch here. So
that's right.
Glad to have you back. And also your first deep dive live from SF, right?
That's right. I am officially I don't know if I'm a resident of California just yet because I haven't officially swapped over my licenses and what stuff. But anyway, I'm here now. And yeah, this is going to be home base and we've got lots of cool things coming up. So yeah, with that being said, what's up? I see, oh, by the way, it's not Kaiser, it's Kizzer. I see him in the chat. So what's up, Kizzer? I see Kizzer. KG. I see Chris. I see Nani. What's up, everybody? Nadia. I see hello.
Chris,
everybody in the house. Dario. What's going on to all the folks that are here? We always appreciate everyone who shows up week after week. Shout off in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from and what you're interested in learning here. Yeah, I'm seeing Rymar's rested up. Listen, I slept about 12 and a half hours yesterday. I know Friday I was dealing with all sorts of allergies and craziness. So anyway, today I'm fresh. We're ready to rock and we're going to get to it. So yeah, let's jump over to this view. Let's walk through this run of show real quick. So we got a few quick community updates. Francisco is at an event today, so he will not be joining us on the stream today. But we wanted to kind of cover what's coming up in the community. So next week, a bunch of us are going to be at Web Summit Rio. Shout out to all of our Brazil folks. Very excited about going down there. That's one of the biggest web events, I think, in the country. I know the Web Summit series of events is massive. I know they do in Portugal. This one's in Rio. Marcelo, shout out to Marcelo and the whole Replit crew down in Brazil. This is going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to going down and doing that, giving master classes. I know Michaela's going to be down there talking. And it's just a real big emerging market. It's super exciting to see all the momentum happening down there. And so cool to be hands-on with that.
Rymar and Marcelo live from the Amazon jungle.
That's right. That's right. Okay, and then VibeCon is the week after that. So shout out if you're going to be in New York for VibeCon. June 17th and 18th, that's going to be an exciting event. You saw the promo that we just played on the opening here. That's kind of like a, AI meets culture conference. Not necessarily deep into the nuances of building, but more about how is AI and this vibe code world kind of interacting with the culture. Artists at scale, entertainment, movies, just how is this permeating through the real culture? And I think that's going to be a very interesting perspective. So anyway, let us know if you're going to be there for that. And I do think there's some tickets available. There's a handful of tickets still left for that. And so let us know if you are interested in that. And yeah, maybe we can hook you up or figure out how to get you some tickets to that kind of thing. And then Manny, do you want to talk a little bit about Thursday and Friday?
Yes. So Thursday, we're trying something new. We're going to help bring your business idea to life live on the stream. So this is something that we've been toying around with, this idea of how do we help folks kickstart their business idea, get them going with those initial prompts, start thinking about the user workflow, things like authentication, but also monetization and promotion and distribution, and trying to do that on air for someone. Just take them through the first initial steps and give them some advice. So this is a newer concept for us, and we're prototyping it on Thursday. So I'll drop the link to the Luma invite in the chat.
Well, and we just launched this whole start your business what was that thing yesterday they just announced where it's like you can get a LLC, a Delaware C Corp, you can get like formation documents, like a Stripe Atlas. There's all sorts of perks like you can get now. And I think even some credits, right, included in doing that type of thing. So again, we talk about this all the time where our goal here is not necessarily just to show you how to build, but how to like turn it into something meaningful that you can like, you know, start a business with or increase your income, add a little side hustle, whatever it is. So I think this will tie in nicely to that.
Dude, I was at a hackathon this past weekend, and a number of folks stopped me and said, like, "Hey, like, I'm starting my business in Replit. I did the initial prototype, and I'm like scaling it." I was walking down the street with my Replit gear. Somebody stopped me, and it's like, "Hey, you work at Replit?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I have 2 businesses on Replit. I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing." So, yeah, more and more, Replit is becoming a must-have tool for entrepreneurs to kickstart their business. So, trying to lean in more into that. You're gonna see more content like this. So definitely join us on Thursday. It's gonna be fun.
Yep.
And then
what's up Friday?
So we're launching something. We're launching 2 big things this week. I can't talk about them yet, but I am very excited about these 2 things. Right, Mario? You just got a preview of it yesterday. So I think the community are going to love these 2 things that we're launching. So I can't talk about it just yet, but be there on Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. And then we're also looking to feature another builder. Last week, we had Aporva from the Race to Revenue series. We had Elias the previous week from the Replit 10 Buildathon. So we're going to look for someone else to bring on stage to share their story in terms of what they're building. You guys have been loving those portions and those segments, so want to continue doing that as well. So that's going to be on Friday.
Yeah, and just, you know, without spoiling anything, as it relates to businesses and commerce and kind of making money online, you know, Friday is going to be exciting. So and the next few weeks, like I saw Raina's post recently on LinkedIn about all the stuff we're shipping and the speed we're shipping at. And that's kind of like the premise of the episode today is like how to move faster with Replit, with parallel agents. And so like, I think that's going to be the theme throughout. And you're all just, you know, like you all see the speed we ship at. It's hard for us to even kind of keep up with everything that's happening. Go ahead.
I really like your line that you said, I don't know when, a couple weeks back, but like nothing moves at the speed of Replit like our live streams.
Yeah.
Like the way that we're shipping, like I feel like we need to like continue to have these live streams. Like we ship like 5 security products. Then we also shipped clerk authentication. Like even me, like on the inside, like I feel like I haven't gone on depth on all of those. So I'm sure like all of you just like will benefit from us going deeper on these. So like Reimer, I think like that, like I always think about that. Like, yeah, like nothing moves like our product, like these live streams.
Yeah, I think the live stream is the only thing that can kind of keep up with the speed of what's happening in this whole AI world, which is why you're going to see us double down on live streams and real-time content. And, you know, like the old days of spending 2 or 3 weeks to create a marketing video or a month to create a marketing campaign is just no longer viable in the world we're living in and the speed that these products are moving at. And so you're just going to see us kind of continue to evolve these live products to hopefully keep up with that type of thing. So, yeah, that being said, Manny, anything else before we kind of just jump into the meat of it here?
I'm excited for this. I feel like I've just touched the tip of the iceberg for parallel agents. So I'm going to be taking notes. So I'm pumped about this.
Yeah, and we're all learning as we go. So, you know, obviously I know a little bit more than most, but I don't know everything. And so, look, if there's something that we talk about and you're like, hey, can we go deeper on this? Or, hey, this is how I use it. Let us know in the chat. We'd love to kind of open up a discussion throughout these. Like my favorite live streams are when we like really get into it with the audience and we kind of go back and forth. And so as we're going through here, if you have questions about, you know, something you want to learn, question about how parallel agents work, things about how to kind of optimize your Replit setup, just go ahead and leave those in the comments. We're always monitoring those. Manny's going to be taking a look at that in the background while we're kind of building and looking through what's going on here. And hopefully we will deliver all the alpha you guys need today on a Tuesday. So let's just jump in from the top here and give you an overview of what we're going to cover, right? So we're going to walk through in sequence. I'm going to go through a little bit of a presentation here just to give you an overview of what's going on and kind of set the stage. And then we're going to spend the rest of it actually building inside of an application. So I have here a very simple contacts hub / CRM. I'm hoping it's what happened here. That let's just make sure this. Hello? Oh no. What is going on? Preview. Okay, there it is. So hopefully this will load up. All right, there it is. So I do have a little contacts app that we're going to play with here. And I've kind of purposefully left some stuff around the edges that I think we're going to like refine and I'll show you exactly how, I'm kind of using parallel agents to work on this stuff and talking about like how to set that up, how to work with those things. We'll discuss the main thread versus background tasks, right? So in Replit, there's like the main agent chat, and then all of the tasks kind of happen in these background threads. And so we're going to explain the UI for all that and what the difference is when you want to work in the background versus when you want to work in the main thread. That's going to be a big piece of this. Navigating the task board. So we're going to walk through the actual UI of how you manage the task board, how to plan new task, how to approve the new task, and then how to merge those into the project. And then we'll just talk about other things to think about, limitations, some kind of dependencies, merge conflicts, things you might have to think about as you go and get a little deeper into this. And so hopefully that will give you a very good, well-rounded overview of everything you need to think about as you start parallelizing your work. I think that's a word in Replit. Okay, so let's get started here just a little bit. Any questions coming in that we need to just making sure nothing's coming in.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, so when we talk about parallel agents in Replit, what we're essentially talking about is the ability to have multiple threads running at once, right? We're kind of used to, you have the main thread, you can ask it to work, and you're kind of vibe coding on that thread and in your project, right? So if I'm over here in this project, I'm in my main thread here, right? So this is my main thread. I built this, earlier today, and everything that happens in this main thread is going to affect the code that's in my preview directly, right? So I'm actually working on the main code of the project when I'm inside of this. When I start a parallel agent or when I start another agent, we're going to fork the project, and the agent's going to start working on a copy of the project in the background. And we're going to explain why that's important and kind of how that fits into like a traditional development workflow. This parallel agents is very much how like the professional developers work, right? So when you work with professional developers, and let's say you have a big team of people doing development work, they're not all working on the code at the same time. They're not all working on like the same pile of code, right? And so we're going to kind of explain how these parallel agents fit into what is a traditional workflow and how we're simplifying that for you all as Replit users. So, okay, how it works: create multiple requests from the agent and queue them up in the background. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Again, how you can have different tasks, and you'll see in the UI, there's like just little indicators of what tasks are going and kind of what's running in the background. Like I mentioned, each task runs in an isolated copy of the project. This means that you can have your main app just kind of working. You can kind of keep tinkering in that main thread. Again, we're going to talk about main thread versus background thread in here in just a second. And so you can kind of keep working and vibe coding on your app while these other things are working in the background, which is one of the coolest things. And then showing you the task queue and kind of the workflow of managing the board itself. Okay. So let's dive a little deeper into main chat versus background task. We talked a little bit about this, but again, when you're vibe coding, if you think about the term vibe coding, you're in the main thread, right? That's the main agent thread. That's the main context. That's what you're always going to see when you enter the project. So anytime you're in Replit, anytime you come in and you see this, new chat with the agent or your main chat here, this is your main thread, right? This is kind of home base. This is directly connected to the live code of your app. So everything here is kind of touching the actual core code, everything that's over here. So if you go on the right side, and sometimes we show you this file tree. So this is all your main code here. When I'm working in the main thread, I'm directly manipulating the code itself. If I come over here and I click the little plus button, we're going to see a couple things happen. Right? First, we're going to see a little shadow, a little gradient. I don't know if you guys can tell around the edge here. So, and you also see this little X up in the top right. I can close that and go back to the main thread. Right? So anytime I click this plus button or go back to the main version, and so I don't know if you guys can just see that. I don't know if I need to zoom in a little bit, but let's super zoom in here and show on the left here, this little target, you'll always see main version, and the plus button is going to be a new task. And you'll see just some slight UI changes just to let you know, hey, you're no longer in the main thread. When you do this, again, Replit is forking your code, right? So it's basically creating a branch. If you've ever worked with like developers and you've heard of like branches in a project, when you create a new task, you're essentially creating a branch. This allows you to make changes to the project. And later on, we'll show you how to merge those back in. This way you can experiment, try new things, throw a bunch of tasks at the project, and then decide, do I actually want these to move forward or not? And nothing that's in your main app is going to be affected with these unless you merge those back in. So that's one of the core things about the main thread versus the background task. When I'm in the main thread, I'm making changes to the live app in real time. All of the code is actually changing the core files of the app. When I'm in a background thread, when I'm working on a task, it's working on a copy of that. And until I merge that back in, until I like bring those changes into the main thread, then none of those changes kind of affect the main code. So Manny, any thoughts, questions there? It seems like I just want to make sure people kind of understand the core difference there between like I'm editing the files directly versus I'm creating a branch and working in the background on these threads.
Yes, makes sense. There is one question I think that maybe is relevant here. Do you need to connect Git before you're forking in parallel?
No. So what you need to know inside of Replit is that Replit runs its own version of Git internally, right? And so you don't need to connect this to GitHub or Bitbucket or any kind of other Git system to take advantage of this. This is all just going to happen natively inside of Replit. And then later on, if you want, you can sync this to Git. You can for sure connect this to another external repository. You can do other things like that. But when you're working just generally inside of here and running these tasks, you don't have to worry about any of that. It's all just going to be taken care of for you in the background.
And again, this goes back to what we do at Replit. We try to take what developers are doing, make that super easy for all of you to implement. So if you're a developer, previously you would have to do that. You would go into Git, you'd create a fork, you'd branch a new feature, you'd work on that, and then you'd merge back to main, and then you'd have somebody have to manage that merge and those conflicts. And that was really painful. Like asking a developer around merge conflicts handling, that was super hard. And we're handling all of that for you here in Replit very easily.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, you can always still kind of revert back to the checkpoints, right? So we're not going to talk about rolling back and kind of doing that type of thing, but you can always revert back. You can always kind of go through and see the history of your chats here and roll back to specific points if you want. And then again, you can, when you're in a new task, because there's no need to roll back, you would just either cancel a task or merge the task. And we'll go over that here in just a second. Okay, so I think we now have main chat versus background chat in our heads here. So let's go to the next thing, which is kind of viewing the task board. So there's a couple like stages of a task board. It looks like a Kanban board, but it doesn't work exactly like a Kanban board. And so there's kind of 4 columns here. You have your draft task, you have your active tasks. These are tasks that are being worked on in real time. Drafts are things that are kind of like pending, stuff that you might want to, trigger here in a second. And then ready are things that are done. You can also see there's color indicators on these, right? And so when you have a draft, you'll see these gray little indicators on the little agent icons. When it's active, you'll see it's blue and you'll see some movement around that. And when it's green, this is like, hey, it's ready. We're ready to be merged back. And then on the done side, it will show you like, here's the things we've already completed. And so you can kind of see at a glance. Again, if we go into this task board, right, open the task board, we don't have a bunch of tasks set up here yet. This is what we're going to do today. And so just know that this is kind of where you can go to see all of the different tasks and background tasks and parallel things that you want to do. And you can see different canceled tasks. You can see what's done here. And then again, we're going to go through, you can create new tasks. You can plan new tasks. So this is kind of home base if you want to just see at a high level all of the different tasks you have running in the background. This is very useful if you've got like 5, 6, 10 things running at once and you kind of want to know what's going on. You'll also see things like recommended tasks and other things kind of come in here that you can then add later. So the agent will start recommending and giving you different tasks that will start showing up in the drafts here that you can then push into the active state whenever you're ready to do that type of thing. And to access all of this is in the bottom left. So to the left of your main thread and on this little left sidebar is where all of your task management is going to be. So at the top, again, we'll see this main version, and that will just open that up. There's a new task button that will get you into this, hey, let's create a new task and fork the project to start that task. And then at the bottom, you'll see this open task board, which will show you the tasks that are in progress. And you control all that just from the left side of your UI here. There are some filters here. We may or may not go into these too deeply here. This is more for like when you're working with other people. You can filter for like, let's say tasks that I'm queuing up, or maybe Manny queued up some task, or somebody else on the team queued up some task, and I want to see what are other people doing in here, what tasks are other people working on, and then I can kind of see based on like what's planned, etc. And so anyway, that's all kind of controllable here on the left side of the UI as you start to explore the task board itself. So any questions or thoughts? Did I miss anything on the task board, Manny?
One thing that I want to double click on is the fact that you can have people come in and start different tasks on your projects. To me, is going to become huge. I'm already talking to a couple of enterprise folks, and they love this because they're trying to collaborate. Like most of you are probably working on your own, but in a business or in a team setting, you have to work really hard to compartmentalize things, but also like keep things moving along. And the ability for folks to go in and start a new feature and a new task, and then let the main person be able to merge that back to main when they're happy about it. That is a killer feature.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like the collaboration, having multiple people in here, and then giving visibility on what people are doing. Before this, if everyone's working in the main thread, it's really hard to know like who's doing what, who's changing what, where are these changes coming from. And so this is a really good way for you to kind of compartmentalize the different tasks and projects that are happening inside. The different tasks and features that are happening inside your project, and then organize and have some visibility on who's doing what. Which tasks are approved, which has been merged, which still needs to be worked on, etc.
And the other thing to note here, there's been a couple folks that have said like, well, I was under the gun during the Replit 10 buildathon. And so that's when I was really going deep on parallel task and agents. So I think that's another like key benefit, is that it just allows you to move really, really fast. Like you had 24 hours to take advantage of agent being free. And so like you saw people like spinning up multiple different types of tasks all at once and just like having agent hammer on them.
Well, one of my favorite things here with these parallel tasks is that like I will often be in the main thread working on something diligently. I'm vibe coding. I'm really working on something. And then it occurs to me like, oh, this other thing would be really cool if I did that, but I don't really want to wait until I'm like done with what I'm doing. I just want to open a new task, have the thing explore, have that working in the background, and then I'll come back and merge it in. And so again, we're going to show you a demo of that kind of stuff here in a second. So, okay, planning new tasks. This works just like working inside of plan mode in the main thread. So there's a couple ways you can plan new tasks. I can use plan mode in the main thread, and it will then create a task for me and ask me, do I want to build in the main thread or build in the background? Or I can create a new task and just have it go ahead and start building automatically in the background, right? So let me go in here and show you exactly like that. So if I come in here and plan, I start a new chat, and what's the next feature? Let's say I want to click on some of this. Let me get rid of this. Okay. So I'm going to click plan. On our activity log, on the right side of our CRM, I see that we have a timeline, but the timeline arrow is in the middle of the page. I'd like to think about how to make this look a little nicer so that it's not crammed in on the right side. Can we think about how to optimize the design here and make this look a little more seamless? And so basically, this is just a real simple task here. It's just gonna, oh my goodness, my flow is not working. Okay, on the right side of our community CRM, we have an activity log, and that activity log is a little cramped, which means the note that I've added is squeezed to the right side with our little timeline element in the middle of the page. I'd like to readjust this so that it's a little less cramped on the right side here. Can we come up with a new layout for this that's a little bit more readable? Okay, there we go. It worked this time. Okay, so I'm in plan mode. Now, had I not clicked plan mode down here, if I would have just did build mode, this would just start building. But since it's planning, what it's going to do is it's going to come up with a little plan here. And in a second, it's going to ask me, do you want to build this here or do you want to build this in the background? So that's one way you can start a new task. I also could have done the same thing here by just coming to this plus button and adding that same prompt right here. So I could literally come over here and add that same prompt. And now I don't have to make the decision of, do I want to build in the background or do I want to just build here locally? So let's see what this comes back with. It's looking at the activity log. And let me explain maybe what I've actually built here. This is a real simple CRM that allows me to create groups, kind of organize contacts. So I have the ability to add and manage contacts here. And then I can add activity. So this is activity for a new contact. All right, so I can log an activity here. But what's happening is this, like I don't really like how it's putting this in this small box here. So that's kind of what I've asked it to do. So again, in plan mode, you all just saw me drop a prompt in here. It started thinking through this a little bit, and now it's created a task, right? So every time you create a task or plan out a task, it's going to create a task plan for you. And then you have the ability to view that, right? And this is really important to kind of like think about, because what you can learn here is how the agent and how well-written tasks are structured, right? A lot of times you may just want to throw a task in at something and you're just very, you're not very detailed about what you want to accomplish. And so these task reports or these tasks plan gives you a good idea of like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what done looks like, right? This is the definition of done is something that is very common in the development workflow, because this says like, hey, this is what we're going to verify that we've been successful in doing this task. And then it also tells us, hey, this is what's out of scope. Here's the steps that we're going to take. And then it also looks at relevant files. And so what this is doing, we talk about all the time, is getting the context and properly structuring your prompt. The agent is just getting really good here when you plan these tasks at, first of all, outlining what it is exactly you want to do, defining what it looks like to be done with this task, and then grabbing whatever's relevant, contextually to that task itself, right? And so we can read these. I definitely recommend you read these every time before you just fire them off. There are ways where I'll show you here in a second where you can kind of auto approve tasks. So we'll get into that as a little bit more advanced here. But what I wanted to show is two options here, right? Here's that automatically apply changes. So, when this finishes, I can just say, hey, merge this automatically, but we won't do that. And I have two options here, build in the background and build here. This is what we talked about before, right? So basically the agent is giving me the option. Do you want to build this in the main thread and start working on the code directly? Or do you want to do this in the background, and do you want to branch this off so that we can test this and then merge it back in? So I'm going to go ahead and build this in the background just because I want a parallel task working and I want a task on my board here. So two things just happened, right? If I open my task board now, we're going to see that there's an active task in here. And if I go to my main thread, you're going to see that nothing's happening in my main thread, right? And so what this means is that I can still keep vibe coding on my application, working on a different piece of it while that's going on in the background, right? And so that will just keep kind of going in the background. And I think one thing we might need to look at, and I already told it to build. There's two things. Sometimes you have to kind of manually tell it to build. And then there's an option where you can kind of like automatically approve the plan, right? And so just a caveat, once in a while, I will be in the background. I'll create a new task. I'll have it start going. And then I'll think it's working. And I'll come back like a half hour later and it'll be like, are you ready to start building this thing? And so sometimes you just have to remember to like actually tell it to start building. And that can be a little frustrating, Manny. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yes, several times, dude. Where like I like kick off like 5 tasks and I walk away like, okay. And I come back and it's like, oh, like I forgot to say like, yeah, build it.
Yeah.
Here's a good question to address. Like I think right now while you're prompting, how does parallel agents use credits?
So it's going to use the same credits the same way the agent does, right? So the agent, basically what you're doing here is you're just getting multiple versions of the agent. So it's the same Replit agent. It's just, I wish there was a good visual for how this is, but it's the same way, right? So the same credits, the same cost, the same context, the same everything. You're just able to use multiple agents at one time as you do this, right? And so that's the biggest thing. There's no real difference in how the billing happens. Yeah. So let's look at this real quick. And I just want to walk through like one task first, and then we can, let's see, ready for review, task updates. So what you'll see is at the bottom, you'll always have kind of like this little indicator in your main thread, right? So now I'm in the main thread, right? And this is telling me, hey, there's something that's ready for your review. I could open the task board and I can see this now. I can review the project, right? So I can see what it did. This is what's called a diff here. So I'm looking at the difference here, and it's going to tell me what changed. because I forked the project, I basically have a whole new version of this project here that I can log in and look at. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means, that if I click on the project here, and let me just clean up a little bit my UI. Oh, okay. So it decided to put it down at the bottom. Interesting. I don't know that I mind that, but I don't know that I love that, right? So the agent decided to, instead of taking that right sidebar, it decided to put it down at the bottom. I actually don't mind that too much. So maybe, yeah, maybe I'm okay with that. Or maybe I want this to be in a tab. Okay, so here's where I have an option. I can either keep working on this, right? So just like I would in the main thread, I can either give the agent more prompts, or I can just say, let's apply this to the main version. I don't really like what it did here. I'm not in love with how this made a decision without me. So I'm going to do something a little different here. Let's just try something. Okay, this mostly seems right, except for it looks like you got rid of the sidebar and you put it in the main content area. So instead, what I'd like to do is have this as a tabbed section. So the activity and the contact info are two different tabs on our main section here. Main contact. Okay, and let's see what that does. And then, so what I'm going to do also, then I'm going to go back to the main version, and this is going to keep nagging me here, by the way. This is just going to keep telling me, hey, this is ready for you. Even though it's still working, no big deal. You can just kind of minimize that. You can keep that in the background. You don't have to merge that until you're ready. You can keep working on that until you're ready. Keep doing whatever you want until you're ready. That's just going to be in the background. And if at some point I'm like, oh, hey, I don't like that, I could just throw that task out. Nothing will change in my main project, right? So that's kind of just intro. That's one background task. Let me go back to planning new tasks, because I want to take you through the series here. So I think we've kind of covered everything about planning, and we even went a little further to show you how that task comes through. We talked a little bit about auto approving the new tasks. So there's a couple places in here that when I'm in that new task, let's go back to that board. Task, activity log. Okay. So in the top here, right, when I'm in the task, you see there's like a name for the task in the top. So if I'm in the main version, I have the name of what the agent's working on. This is what's happening in the main thread. When I'm in a separate task, I still have that same title at the top, but you can see here I have a few other options where I can automatically apply these changes. What this means is that at the end of the task being done, it's just going to go ahead and merge that with the main branch without me having to do anything else. I can also, at any time, rename the task, review the changes that have happened. And so, again, this is a diff. This is very useful for kind of seeing what's actually changed in the task. And then I can stop or cancel the task at any time, right? And so this is, again, very useful for individually working on these tasks and kind of having a little bit of nuanced control over what I want to do here. So, okay. And now I've got my CRM. I've got two tabs with my activity. I've got contact info. This is great. I'm excited with this. Let's see when this comes back, and we'll go ahead and merge this. And then what we'll do is maybe as you're out there, if you're thinking like, what kind of features might you like to see in the CRM? Let's test Rymar a little bit, and let's just fire off a bunch of background tasks here. So let me, merging changes, that's what we're going to do next. And then, yeah, we'll cover some of the parallels. So we're going to merge these changes. Let's come back through and wait till this thing is done. And then we'll merge these changes. And then we'll queue up a bunch of different parallel tasks in the background and just see if we can kind of have some fun forking and adding and doing all sorts of different stuff here inside the app. Any questions? Let's see.
Just a bunch of comments of like how... excuse me, how game-changing tasks and parallel tasks have been. A lot of you folks are saying like it's the biggest change to Replit in a long time. You're loving it. So I'm just like glad to see that.
Yep. Okay, so here it goes. The log file I'm reading is there. The CRM dev server restarted cleanly. Okay, great. Now let me update the commit message and propose follow-up. So this is a new feature also that's fairly new, these follow-up tasks. So again, we'll see ready for review. I can come in here and look at these if I want, review the changes, and I can see exactly what has happened here. I'm just going to go ahead and apply the changes to the main version, right? And I can do this from here, or again, I can be in the main version and I can do this from here. I can click apply changes. If there were multiple tasks, we would see these kind of stacked up here. So I'll just go ahead and click apply changes. And what that's doing is that's going to take all the changes that happened in that parallel task and merge them into the code base. Remember at the beginning, we said that when you're working in the main branch, you're working with the main code. And then we created a fork to do this parallel task. Once we merge those, what's going to do is going to take the changes in that fork and bring it back into the main branch. And so now there is just, again, one version of this. There's no more forks. There's no more branches. It's just now back into one thing. Okay, so let's see. I like some of these proposed tasks. So show who logged each note and what kind of interaction it was. Let's see if I start that. Task started in the background. So again, these suggested tasks, I'm just going to go ahead and fire both of these off in the background. And now what we'll see is we have two tasks queued up. And if I go up to my board, there's two things organized here. And let's see if we can add a little bit more. Let's see. Somebody said what? Voice to text? What did they say?
Text to speech, CRM.
Text to speech. What would be text to speech? Like, what would we use?
Yeah, tell us more about that, Doug. Like, what are you thinking? Like, is it like you have a contact in there and you have a conversation, or like maybe it's like you have an assistant that scans your contacts and like tells you like, hey, who did I meet last week at this event? What did they care about? So tell us more about that, Doug. What are you thinking?
Yeah, and then what might be interesting is to have this thing like do some research on my contacts. You know, like what if AI went and searched my new contact and brought me back like a little dossier or something. I don't know how far we could get with something like that, but let's see what happened in here.
A couple of comments around people really loving the suggestions, the task suggestions from Agent. I like them too. I probably like 1 out of 3. I'll take on like, or at least it plants ideas for me to do next. Like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to save on to that. I guess quick question, Rymar, is there like a way to save those for later? And then two, someone also asked, is there a way to actually turn off these suggestions as well?
I don't think there's a way to turn them off yet, although I wish there was sometimes. You can dismiss them. So you can dismiss as they come up, and they'll end up in your drafts. And so let's do something like that. Let's think about new tasks. Okay, I'd like to think about how we might do some user research on contacts as they get added to our CRM. And so maybe we need to bring in one of our AI integrations, something like the Claude connector or the OpenAI connector that will take everything we can or have about one of our contacts and go do some deep internet research and bring me back some notes about this person, maybe relevant content that they've just published online, social posts, anything that we may be able to go get research on these people that I'm putting into the CRM as we enter them. And so when I add a new contact, the system should have a background task that basically uses AI to go research my new contact and bring me back whatever information you can find. And then I should have the option to accept or add the new information that the AI finds into the CRM record. Okay. So again, one thing to think about here, I am in a new task. I'm not in the main thread. If I go to the main thread, my prompt is going to stay here. Right. So this is one of the cool things is that you can just throw a prompt into the chat box. And then if you want to start it as a new task rather than do it in the main thread, you can just click new task. Plan mode is always the default in a new task. Right. So when I'm starting a new task or when I'm kind of doing a background task, I'm always going to start in plan mode. That's one of the main differences between the main thread and these background tasks is that when I'm in the main thread, I have the option to either work in plan mode or just go straight to build mode. When I'm planning out a new task, I'm always going to be in plan mode because what this is going to do is it's going to create that task plan. And again, as we explained, that task plan is very important for you to have here's what we're doing, here's the definition of done. It's very good to kind of have an overview of like, here's the things we're doing. And because these models are getting so good. Like a couple years ago, not a couple years ago, a couple months ago, the models were a little more responsive to, like, if I'm in the main chat and I create a long prompt and then I interrupt the prompt, you know, maybe some of you guys do that while you're vibe coding and you're like adding context in the middle of the chat, you're interrupting the agent. The agent was kind of like okay with that. The performance of the models now don't like that as much. They want you to be more detailed. They want you to have more context up front. They want you to kind of outline at a high level more, you know, like, because they have more capabilities, you kind of want to front load all of that context in the agent, and you really don't want to be interrupting it in the main thread while it's working. This is something that's very, very different now versus like a couple months ago. And so you will find that you'll get a lot better results if you go through plan mode, if you really create this like detailed task plan and, you know, kind of just let the agent work fully inside of that without you interrupting it. So it's very important to kind of like outline that context, scope the plan itself, and then just kind of let the agent run and do its thing. Okay, so let's see what it's asking me for. It says, I'll investigate, let's check, I've got a clear picture of the CRM, one technical note up front. This will use a Replit integration. Okay, that's great. When should the AI research run? Each run spends some AI credits. Automatically background every time I add a new contact. Yes. Maybe when I click a research button, right?
Yeah.
Let's do both. Let's have it run one. I like both. Let's have it run. Okay. This is great. I'd like it to do a quick research in the background every time I add a new contact, but then I'd also like to be able to click the button to rerun it whenever I want. This is also something new that you'll see here. So I'm going to go ahead and click next, and it's going to ask me one more question. So this is the agent, again, structuring some of the questions and content and asking me in sequence, what do I want to do with this? So when you accept the AI's findings, where should they land in the contact record? As a research note in the activity log? That's probably right. Fill in the empty structured fields. Okay. Yeah. All right, both. I'm going to say, yes, I'd like anything that's relevant to be able to be mapped to existing fields or to go into either a new note field or the activity log. So in the activity log, we should for sure show all of the research, but anything that is available in the profile should just be mapped to the profile. So if it's a phone number, an email, et cetera, we should be able to map that into our contact record inside the database when it comes back. Okay, so I'm going to send that. And again, this is working. And I want to point out, because we have 3 different colors here on the left side, I want to kind of point out, this is very useful just at a glance, right? What we're seeing here is we have a draft. You know, this is what we're working on right now. It's gray, right? And so this means it's thinking, it's in planning. If we open the task board, that's what's happening here on the draft side. Active, this is what's going on right now, right? It's blue. This means we're working on this. This means in progress, things are happening, something's going on right here. And this may be waiting for our, okay. It could be because I'm on my personal account and it's in core. So that's, maybe we can talk a little bit about the limitations of core versus pro accounts. And then the green is, you know, obviously the task is done here. So let me go back. We're just going to go ahead and apply this. I'm just going to trust the agent. But let's go see what it did. Review the changes. Okay. All right. Apply changes to main. Great. So this is going to merge this back into the main. One thing you'll see in the main, right? You'll see updating environment, updated environment, right? So every time a task get merged, you'll see that the environment was updated, and then you'll see that a new checkpoint was made. And it will show that it was made and that the task name is what the checkpoint was. So that task checkpoint is now showing. So again, if you want to roll back, if you want to undo those changes, if you want to like, you know, go back in time, you can still do that just like you would with any other operation inside the Replit agent. Again, you just have the ability to build in different threads here. Manny, here's your suggested task that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. So I can just I can just click X on that, right? So I can either tell that to build, which I didn't that time. I just X'd it out. But if I go open to the board, you might see, I thought they had the suggested tabs. Import context. Okay, here, this is where they are. So I think some of these end up here when I don't actually like accept them. These were tasks that came in. These are suggested tasks that I canceled, that I didn't accept. Let users edit or delete a logged note. Okay. So again, now we can see the filters, created by me. There's nobody else working inside of here, but I can see what's being planned. I can see what tasks are available. And so again, all your UI kind of lives on the left side here.
Reimer, let's take a moment to catch some folks up. We've got some folks like Aura that are a little bit late to the party. No worries. We're covering parallel tasks today. Really big hit with the Replit community. Allows you to move fast as a solo builder. Allows you to collaborate across many different types of folks on one project within your company, within your team, and allows you just to do more faster. So right now, Reimar is walking through an example. He's got a CRM, a contacts is it contacts management system. And so he's adding different features to this using parallel tasks.
Yeah, correct. We're adding a bunch of different features using background tasks inside the agent here to kind of build out on top of the CRM, and we're trying to add a little bit of AI researching to this thing here. So let's see. So here's the that thing we were talking about before, where like it'll say start building here, where sometimes you might think like, oh, this was already going in the background, but it wasn't. So let's just go ahead and click start, and now we can see, we have 2 active tasks, and there's one that's queued up. Let's just go ahead and build this one on main and see what happens, just so we can get it going. I need to get. I thought because I was on an enterprise task that it would just let me do multiple tasks. So that's maybe one thing to talk about. If you're on core, you can have one background task running at a time, right? So if you're on a core plan, you're going to be limited to just kind of one background task. You have your main agent thread, and then you have, the background tasks you can run one at a time. If you're on a pro plan, you can have up to 10 parallel tasks running at once. And so again, just another big benefit of being on that pro plan. If you're already like a Power Replit user, if you're spending anywhere close to or more than $100 a month, you should just go ahead and get on that pro plan. This is another one of those major benefits, is being able to have up to 10 parallel tasks running at once. Okay.
And one other thing to note, please keep dropping your suggestions into chat. We may not get to them on the stream, but we're passing all of this feedback on to the engineering team. So yeah, please keep dropping those suggestions. People are split on the task suggestion. Like some people really love them. Other people are like, no, it's like messing with my ADHD brain. I need to turn them off. So I think it's gonna be a debate that the engineering team is gonna have to have.
Yeah. I like them sometimes, and then sometimes I would like to cue them in the background, or I'd like to just kind of leave them for later. And there is like just not like the best. Like sometimes I get a little lost with like right here, like archive versus canceled versus drafts. Like sometimes I would like to see those suggested tasks, like maybe in another row, and just be able to see like all the suggested tasks that are there that I could then move into draft or active. Like that would be super cool. Because sometimes like I like the suggestions, but maybe I want to do them later, right? Like maybe my train of thought's already somewhere else, and I kind of want to focus on like this next thing. So that's the only thing I would say sometimes about that. And I think I told it to work in the main thread here, but it does seem like it's not really, it does seem like it's still kind of doing I've not seen this before. I don't know if you have, where it's not actually like down here doing its thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just
and you're in the main?
this. I am in main, yeah. Let me just refresh the page here and see. Interesting. That's the first time I've seen that. I'm going to have to look into what happened there. That was that because I'm on core and it was a proposed task and I told it to build in main. Just a little bit different behavior than what I've seen it do before. And so I'm just kind of wondering how this is going to play out. So let's just keep an eye on that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Reimer, can I also ask you a question? Like I noticed that like in main, I can't create a new chat anymore. So it's just going to be like an ongoing chat, I guess, in main. Is that? Do you see that as well?
That's only on your internal account. So we probably shouldn't talk about that yet.
Oh, my bad. Scratch that. Scratch it from the record.
But yeah, we should talk about that because that is a thing that I think. Yeah, go to task. Okay, so let's see what this thing is doing. Let users edit or delete a note. So we're going to review these changes. And this was one of the suggested tasks. What this asked for was like edit or change a logged note. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this. We're going to trust that the agent did its thing. Again, as you work there, you can see, where was it? I don't think I can go back there, but it did tell how much it worked and showed the cost. It was like a couple bucks, but I think I lost it. Let me see if I can go see. I'm not sure if I can open that thread afterwards. There it goes. Worked for 6 minutes, $2.36. So there you go. If you want to see like what your tasks cost, as you're going through, if you open your task board, if you click on these tasks, this is a very good way to, again, to go back and see like what has happened. What are all these tasks? This is something very different than if you're in your main thread, right? If I'm in my main thread and I'm working in that thread and everything's just in one line, I don't get these kind of very well-defined tasks to look at, to go back to see kind of what happened. There's no way for me to then see that. So I think, it's one of those things where I think a lot of us are used to kind of having everything in the main thread. And this next step of where this thing is headed is more into these really well-structured tasks, very well-defined definitions of done. And then again, all the context needed. And this becomes very useful for auditing to go back and say, hey, here's everything that happened. Here's the thread that went along with it. Here's how much it cost me to do these things. And so it's just like a good audit trail for when you're doing these types of tasks, especially if you have a bunch of different people working the project and you want to see who's doing what, where those tasks are going, kind of what's going on inside the project. This is a very useful way to see that.
Here's a good question. You might want to tackle this now or later, Reimar. But this idea of like, is there like best practices when it comes to merging multiple tasks into main? I guess how would you think about that?
Yeah, we should probably talk a little bit about merging and how to structure tasks to make sure you don't run into conflicts. So if I go back to, I think that was kind of like the last step here, is some of these conflicts. When you're working on a parallel task, you kind of want to make sure you're not working on the same thing you're working in the main thread. So for instance, if I'm in the main thread and I'm working on the AI functionality that we're just talking about here, and we're working on like CRM development, and I start a parallel task, the parallel task I start might want to be related to something totally different than that task. I probably don't want the agent or two different agents trying to fork and work on the same code at the same time, because this is where you're going to get into conflicts, right? And so when you're working on parallel tasks, you kind of want to compartmentalize what it's working on as best you can. The agent will handle the merge conflicts for you. And sometimes you'll see that like a task won't start because there's another task above it that has a dependency. And so it'll like know that, hey, this needs to be done before we can start this next task. But you really want to like I wouldn't try to do a bunch of tasks on the same piece of the app at the same time and expect that you're going to have a lot of good luck with that. I would say, hey, let me work on the main part of it in the main thread. And then in the background, I want to work on this separate piece of something. I want to work on this, enhancement over here. I want to add the mobile app to this thing, or I want to do something else, like kind of separate the concerns. And that will avoid those merge conflicts. The agent's really good at merging those back in, but if you run into problems, it's likely because you had the agent kind of working over top of itself, and that can create some problems. Here's those suggested tasks, by the way, like that I dismissed. And so so they come into the drafts. I was wrong. They come into the drafts, and I could either start or run these in the background. Again, I could view the task, or I could dismiss them. I could also view their parent task. I could cancel the task. I can bulk dismiss these if I want, like if I want to select them all and cancel or start them. So here are your suggested tasks on the background in the draft status. So that's, again, super useful to see and understand there. I'm still interested to see. This is working in the main thread, but it doesn't feel like a main thread task, which is interesting. This is the first time, Manny, I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's the first time I've ever taken a task that I pre-planned though, and as a core told it to do it in main. So it could just have, it could just be something there, but I'll have to look into why that's happening. And I kind of want to see. My biggest thing is I can't really see the progress of what it's doing, so I'm kind of just waiting to see, what's going on in the background.
Sorry, I can't be more helpful, Ramar. I usually spend my time in pro or enterprise plans, dude.
Hey.
Somebody just mentioned, like, sounds like I need a pro plan. Yes. I think
Yes.
most, like, if you're in the stream, you likely need a pro plan, especially if like you're spending like upward, like $50 range, like $70 range, like just go ahead and get the pro plan.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you're already spending $100, let's see, keep the production database in sync with the app. Okay. Let's do a new task. Can you turn my CRM into a mobile app? Let's see what happens.
There was another comment here, Reimar, around using multiple tasks on our mobile app. Any thoughts there? Have you tried that out? What's been your experience there? I would imagine it's kind of tough to, and that's what they mentioned, that it's a little tough to manage all these multiple tasks on the mobile app. I know we've made that a little bit better, but I'm just curious if you had any thoughts there.
To be honest, I don't really use the mobile app for parallel task stuff. I'm mostly like just keeping an eye on something as I'm on the fly or something. So I'm unfortunately I don't have the best answer for that.
I'm sure someone in the chat is like super proficient and has done it. So like drop it in the chat. Like what's your experience has been with multiple tasks on the mobile app?
Okay. So it's funny. It does seem like it's just I wonder if I should try something in the main branch here and see what happens. I just don't want to break it.
Mm-hmm.
Good news. Your CRM contact is built on a shared backend API, a real native mobile app. Yeah. Yes, React native mobile app using a new artifact. Let's just see what this does. We're just going to push it to the limits here and see if as a parallel task, it will create a new artifact. If you guys are not familiar with what a new artifact is, as we go over here, we can see that we have the CRM. It's a website. And what I've just asked it to do is to turn this into a mobile app. We'll see where we get with that. But Replit has the ability to build web apps, native mobile apps, slide decks, video, like all sorts of stuff inside the same project. And so what I've asked it to do now is just to turn the existing CRM into a mobile app. We're just going to see how far it can go in a parallel task in the background doing that type of thing. So it's coming up with a plan for this right now. Again, every time I'm in a parallel task, it's creating a plan. And then we get to decide, whether or not we want to build that or not. I'm going to keep going back to this because I'm trying to see where my AI research stuff is at, and I can't really. I want to see what it's doing, but it's not giving me that ability there. Get contact. Okay. All right. Well, we're just going to let that keep running. Let's see what this is going on. Let's see what this new task plan. Build a native iOS, Android mobile for the existing contact. Done looks like a new mobile artifact. Okay. Runs in the preview and can be opened. Yep. User signs in with Replit auth using the mobile token exchange flow. Okay. User. Okay. So this looks right. Again, typically I would read through these with a lot more detail. But since we're kind of just on the stream here and trying to just show some of the love, we're not going to get into the nitty gritty, but again, it shows me what's out of scope. Here's what the steps are. And then it shows me here's all the relevant files. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell this to start building.
Can I also say, Ramar, that I actually like these because it's also like giving me a good template for how I prompt when I'm outside of plan mode. And so this idea of like the what, why, what done looks like, I think like emphasizing that is important. We don't see enough new builders do that. Cody was on the show at SaaStr, and I just posted this clip and I'll share it in the chat around like this idea of mission type prompts where you focus on the what and the why and what done looks like rather than a whole bunch of detail. You let agent handle the implementation. You just focus on the end state. And so I like that we have that format. And so for me, I'm just like reinforcing this framework for me to prompt elsewhere.
Well, and this is if you've ever worked with like a real development team or in a real development process, is very similar to what you would expect to happen as you do product requirement gathering throughout that development process. So almost always you're going to generate some user stories, right? So the user can log in and create a new contact. All right, that's a user story. And then there's a definition of done, again, which is the user can log in and create a new contact. The new contact will be in the database. The contact will be editable, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so again, those are the framings of like, here's what needs to happen. And yes, Manny, exactly what you're saying is like it's just a good mindset to get into as you think about how to manage this. And I'm part of me. All right, I'm gonna have to upgrade this to Pro right now.
Do it live. Do show us how to do it. How easy it is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. New task. I would like to make the left sidebar where we have the groups for our contacts collapsible so that it doesn't take up as much screen real estate on large devices. Okay, so I'm just going to add this as a new task in parallel. And if this asks me to upgrade, we're just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on that just so that we can get all these tasks running in the background.
Let's go.
Okay. Any questions coming? I just moved up to the Pro plan. Let's go.
Let's go. Is the bullhorn set up yet? Or are we still setting that up?
I don't have. Yeah.
Oh no.
No bullhorn.
Right. Good move.
All right. I have what I need. Let's write a task. Let me confirm the sidebar implementation. Okay. So again, on large screens, here's what done looks like. Here's what out of scope. Here's the steps, and here's the file. We're going to tell this to start building, and then we'll just go ahead and upgrade to Pro. Let's see what happens there. Upgrade plan. Ooh, child.
Bam.
Payment is processing. May take a few hours to confirm. Oh, no.
Hours.
Oh, no.
Hours. Come on.
Y'all tripping. All right. Let's see if I refresh what happens here. Collapsible side groups queued, waiting for the available agent. All right, so maybe it's not going to let me immediately. Build on main. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I feel like I messed this up a little bit by not being in a Pro plan here automatically because I'm just getting a little bit of unfamiliar behavior. Because it's definitely working in the main branch, and I'm wondering like what happens if I...
Do you maybe want to try to remix it or fork the whole app and see if that resets things?
Yeah, maybe let's try that. Contact
well, we'll just start it from scratch, dude.
Let's see what happens.
And then Ruth here saying that she's using parallel task on an iPad. Actually, that makes sense. Actually, that would be cool. On an iPad, you can see everything like bam, bam, just like I like that. I gotta try that, Ruth.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'd like to add some AI research functionality to the project here so that when I add a new contact, the AI will go out and do research on my new contact and fill in any available information on our contact listing and also kind of provide me with a little dossier that feeds into the activity for each contact. I'm going to go to plan mode here. Let's just see what it says. Let's just restart that whole AI thing. Let's also start a parallel. Okay, I'd like to make our left sidebar collapsible where we have our groups and all of our contacts so that we can save some screen real estate on the left side of our application. Again, I'm in plan mode here because I'm in a new task. Currently viewing a preview of the main version. So this is also helpful here because it's telling me, hey, I'm in the main version or I'm previewing the main version. There's a couple limitations when you're in tasks. When you're in parallel tasks, you can't access the canvas the same way. So you're going to access the main canvas, right? So it's not like when you fork the project and you work on parallel tasks, you're not also forking the canvas. You're not also forking some of the other assets. You're just kind of forking the code there. So just a heads up. For anybody who's not familiar, you do have this beautiful canvas, but you can see here, canvas is in read only and background tasks. So you'll just get that warning if you're used to kind of navigating the canvas while you're in the main branch. When you're in a background task, you won't always have access to that canvas there. Okay, so start building. I have enough. One note to approach. Going out to research means a feature needs live web access. Okay, OpenAI, great. Another thing that happens in the main thread here when new tasks start is if you just see here, Rymar Torado started collapsible group sidebar. So let's say I'm working in the main task, and let's say Manny's in the background here. If Manny starts a new task, I'll get a little notification just letting me know, hey, a new task has been started here. I'm going to go ahead and have this build here in the main thread. Okay, and I'll be interested to see what this comes up with, honestly, for the research on this thing. And then maybe we'll put Manny as a contact. Maybe folks from the chat can drop in their names, and we'll add some contacts to the mix here and see what comes back on some of our folks.
Let's see, dude. There is one other Manny Bernabe out there that was involved in some a healthcare scam or something. So I've been battling now with him to be at top of the Google search results. I think I got him pegged or beat now, but it'd be interesting to see which Manny Bernabe this one pulls up. Good test.
All right. So there's one thing you're seeing on the screen here that we have not encountered before. And this is the update from main. This is what this is saying is basically, hey, something has changed on the main branch that we don't that when we forked was not there, right? And so you can click here to pull those changes in. You don't always need to do this. This could cause some of those conflicts that you were talking about. So let's say the agent's working on something that this thing is touching, and I revert some of the changes. So again, I don't know how to tell you exactly when or when not to press this button. But when you're working on, let's say, the main branch, and you're on these side tasks and you want the updates from the main branch to come through. So here you can see it kind of disappeared because it's already ready to just kind of apply. So it no longer needs to merge those changes. I'm just going to apply these changes to the main branch. And if I go over to the main branch, once that's applied, I should get my little sidebar toggle or however it's going to let me collapse that sidebar. I don't know how it decided. I didn't really get specific for how I wanted to collapse that sidebar. One thing you'll also see, so it's waiting for the main agent before applying changes. So I just told it to merge. And what's happening is because the agent is working over here, it's not going to interrupt it with the change to push the new task into the main thread, just so that it doesn't create any conflict. So you'll see here, this is just going to wait until the main thread is ready. And then once the main thread is ready, it will push those changes into the project. Okay. Let me de-risk the core uncertainty where the proxy supports the response API. And I have no idea how this AI research is going to work. This was just kind of a Hail Mary here. So any questions we're getting in here about task? Have we properly confused everybody so far? Are people understanding parallel tasks here?
Yeah, no, I think they're getting it. A lot of helpful comments on multi-task or parallel task on the go. Some folks, the iPad suggestion really clutch. Some folks have actually been using it on the mobile phone as well, and there's some good results. Some other folks that like to use it on desktop, as to be expected, like me. Some folks upgrading to Pro as we speak. Somebody upgraded to Enterprise as we speak. That's another thing. Now Enterprise is self-service, so you used to have to wait. You used to have to talk to a salesperson at Replit to set that up. No longer the case. Just like you sign up for Pro, you can sign up for Enterprise as well. So check that out if you're working at a company or with the team. And then yeah, no. So no,
Yeah.
it's just good stuff here.
One other thing to point out, you might see that like login with Replit when I'm in a parallel task versus like when I'm in the main thread, I'm already logged in. Because we're branching the project, because we're creating a fork of it, we're also creating a fork of the database, of the user sessions, of the auth tokens and everything. So if I'm logged in on the main branch, I won't necessarily be logged in on the parallel task. And so you may have to log in at each parallel task to kind of test and see what's happening at each step. That may be something that's just like a little unfamiliar. You're like, hey, I'm logged in here. Why do I have to keep logging in? It's because of how the system kind of forks everything. And that includes your authorization, your auth tokens, the sessions for that. And so those don't carry over because we're creating different development environments for each of these parallel tasks. So again, you need to like re-authenticate at each step, which is a very good security feature. But it can just be something where you're like, oh, why do I have to keep logging in every time? And you may not know that that's a thing you have to do. So just something I wanted to call out.
Another question here, Reimar, or a suggestion, I guess, rollback on a task would be helpful. So I guess you can't roll back within a task, but you can still roll back in the main. Is that fair?
Yeah, correct. What you can do is like in your, and then we can come in here to Git. So like we have all the different, things that are happening here in the task. And some of these are tasks. Some of these are, like main agent stuff. And so you can always kind of go back and undo. Inside of a task, I don't know that you can roll back individually as piece of that, but you can just kind of archive the task or cancel the task or keep iterating on the task. So there's not really a need to roll back because until you merge, there's no checkpoint, right? Like you kind of haven't changed or modified your files. And so there's no real need to roll back in a task, right? The task is not merged or something that will be rollbackable until you merge it into main. And so what you need to do is just iterate on that task until you get to either the place where you're going to merge it or just get rid of it and not go with that. Yeah.
And then once you merge to main, you can always roll back there if you want to.
Correct.
Somebody else also earlier in the chat asked about keeping things updated on their GitHub as they're making changes on Replit. And so, Reimar, you just showed that how you went to the GitHub or the Git panel to connect your GitHub repo with what you're doing in Replit, and you can see that it automatically syncs up here too.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you can see here is that these M's, this is just showing that things are modified. So this is showing, and if you're not familiar with the Git workflow, we're not going to have time to kind of like do a proper rundown of what's happening in Git. But Git is basically a version control system. And what it does is it kind of logs everything that's happening inside the project every time there's changes to a file. So we can see here now, here A is showing that this file was added. Before we were seeing that there were files that were modified. And so you can kind of see what's happening here. And let's say I want to discard all these changes. Let's say I wanted to like just not accept any of these changes. You could do that here. Again, we're not going to get into the whole Git workflow. That's probably a whole separate live stream. But something you know or you should know is available inside of Replit here.
There's some other questions that we're getting that are not necessarily task related. I don't know if you want to tackle these now or maybe wait a little bit later after we're done with all the parallel task stuff.
Yeah. I think we can probably just go wherever the audience wants to go at this point. Okay. I'm just waiting for some of this AI stuff to come through and see if it actually works. And then trying to merge this task, which is waiting for the main agent to kind of finish. So I want to show people that, that merge flow after the agent's done, and then see if this this AI workflow works.
All right, drop your questions. Yeah, whatever questions you got, drop them in there. We got David Hodge here asking about deleting assets as it pertains to a particular user on their web app and how to handle that, how to do like that deletion and do that appropriately.
Let's see. So how would deprovision their access without banning them in the auth section? You could just ask the agent to like create a role, and the role would be banned, right? And that banned role would just eliminate them from being able to do anything in the app, but it would leave them logged in. This way they wouldn't, like, let's say you deleted somebody's record, that wouldn't really stop them from being able to log in again. So what you want to do is you still want to like make sure you have a record of them in the system and add some kind of Boolean flag that's like banned or blocked or something that then you can turn on to show that that user is no longer able to take actions inside your app, but also stop them from re-logging in or creating a new account. I think that's what you're asking. I'm not 100% sure, but
That's a great suggestion. Create a new, I guess, flag or like role that essentially
correct.
matches what he wants to do. Perfect.
Correct. Let's see what this is doing. Running the code review, module resolution, ad hoc script. Okay, let's see. It hasn't asked me for my OpenAI to connect to OpenAI. So let me just see what this is going to come back with. We may have gone out over our skis a little bit, but what time is it? Oh, we got time. We're not leaving defeated, by the way. No chance the first one back in the office is going to be a defeat. So buckle up, y'all. Oh, here's a good question. How do I take a task that's in draft status and interact with agent to perfect it? Let me see if we have anything in our board. Don't have anything in the board. When you create a new one, so here's where I would say is you probably want to identify that before. So let's go into main. Let's just start this. Can we come up with a plan for turning the, let's see, what do we want to do here? What do we want to do that would be something we could modify? A simple, I'd like to allow the user to be able to upload photos to their profile, or I'd like to be able to add photos or a gallery for each contact so that I can store images or links or anything related to the user that I want to store in a background, like an archive for this user with relevant links to things like their social profiles or a resume or some post online, anything interesting about this person. Can we come up with a plan for how we might best do that? Okay, so basically what I want to do is I want to have it come up with a plan here, and then I'll show you how you can modify and adjust that plan. But I did see a research with AI button here, so let's see what happens if I click it. Probably nothing because I haven't given it I haven't approved the API, the AI connection. The log mapping still points to the old file. Let me refresh to capture. Okay, so a couple things that we're waiting for just to keep people up to date. We're working on parallel task. We're building a simple CRM here, and we have a task that's waiting for the main agent before it merges back in, and then we're planning a separate task in the background here to allow us to kind of add media and other content to the agent here. Oh, okay, so it did work, by the way. Look at this. It ran the research, AI research. Ryan Martirado most likely refers to a Sarasota, Florida-based creative strategist. His own website, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what happened? Public pro. Okay, so yeah, it did something. It did some stuff, you know? So if I look at the activity, sources, oh, and it listed the sources.
Oh, and links and everything. Neat.
Yeah, and I could probably have these, become links that I can click on. I could have these turn into direct clickable links, etc.
Or values in your database. So when you go to contact info, like immediately Rymar's website, Rymar's LinkedIn, Rymar's Twitter.
Oh,
you can
and
also have it scan Twitter, like, hey, here's what Rymar's been thinking the last 5 days. So if you're like, so I had something similar like this, and I was using it to prep for meetings. So I would say, like, I would have an automation that would see a meeting that had coming up in the next couple of days. It would do research. It would tell me about the person. It also would pull some of their most recent posts. So I was showing up to the meeting with some context about what was top of mind for them.
Yep. So remember we were waiting on a task to close the sidebar. So here's my sidebar toggle. I'm going to go ahead and just mark that as complete because it seems to be working nicely. The agent in the main thread has finished. So again, you'll see updated environment when that happens, and then the checkpoint updated, and then I'll show you that the task is, what was updated here. So again, the main thread will always show you that the environment was updated. This means that the code was merged, the task was merged back into the main thread, and then it will show you that it made a checkpoint. This is where you can roll back if you need to, right? So obviously I'm already at this checkpoint, so it's not going to let me roll back. But if I came here, I could roll back to before that if I wanted to. So we were talking about rolling back. So again, you wouldn't roll back inside the subtask, but you could roll back in the main thread to before that task was merged in, which again is super useful here. All right. Okay, so now I have a task here, and I'm going to do what you talked about, Manny, because that AI responds back with links and stuff. And maybe I just said contact, archive photos and links. What if I want the AI to feed into this? So if I go into the board here and I can see, these plans, remember sidebar, width and resize. Okay, so these are just the suggested user profile, photo gallery, and links. I think this is the one that we're planning on right now. So there's not a way in here for me to kind of like click and edit this. But once I click into this, right? So if I get into this view, so again, I'm in the task board. If I come into this, now I can revise this plan, right? Ooh. So on the bottom there, I have that little revise button, and I'm going to say something like, this is great. However, I'd also like to integrate this with our AI research so that the links that the AI research turns back also end up in this profile photo gallery / links section that we're building. And I want this to be a new tab in our contact section. So right now we have a contact info, an activity tab, and then I would like this new photo gallery / links section to be a new tab so that when the AI does research, there's links, videos, photos, whatever we insert, that all goes into a media or resources tab in our CRM profile.
I love it, dude. Perfect timing. Somebody actually just mentioned that one thing that they don't like about suggested tasks is that you can't revise them, and you just showed them how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm not sure you can do that on every task. I know this is like when you create a plan, I'm not sure on the suggested task, right? So like right here, a task plan is ready for review. So if I click review, I do have the ability to revise or cancel that, but I'm not sure if I can do that on the fully suggested task. But again, anytime I have a task that I've created and I go to the review phase, I always have the ability to revise that task and make sure I can see exactly what I want to happen here.
Dude, if this AI comes back and tells us that you do not like pineapple pizza, I think that's it. We got to end the stream right there, dude. Just mic drop like let's roll. Epic 591 calling it out.
That's funny.
Whatever you do, do not suggest pineapple on pizza that Rymar out of the meeting.
Text.ca, title links, and only buries those links inside dossier text, not yet emit photos or videos, so get research links. Okay, so let me update the plan and repropose it. So this is what's going to happen when you go to revise the plan. You want to make sure you wait until it's done. I'm going to close out of this plan here. Let me update task 5, right? So there you go. I don't know if you just saw the subtle shift that happened here. So if I click view, it's going to have a different, like now we have a totally different setup here, and it's revised this. So done looks like the contact detail screen has 3 tabs. Exactly. Media resources tab, the user can upload 1 or more images, add a resource. Okay. Okay, this is good. I just want to make sure we're using the Replit object storage for these for these files, that we're not just storing them in the local public folder. Other than that, everything sounds good. Okay. That's another thing that sometimes the agent gets a little overzealous, and if you just tell it to store files, it'll just start kind of dumping them into your public folder. There's something called Replit object storage that's useful for storing media files and assets and different things like this. And okay, confirm the plan uses Replit object storage. Great. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell it to start building, and we'll see what we get. And again, this is building in a background task. How can I tell that? Well, because if I look around the border, I can see this subtle blue shadow around my whole UI here, right? And there's also this X in the top right corner. So if I close that, boom, now I'm back in my task board or main thread, right? So when I'm in a task, I kind of see that I get this little encapsulation of my UI, and that's just a subtle visual indicator that I'm working on a branch inside of a parallel task on the background. And then maybe, yeah, like let's see what's in our task board. Should we just... I'm just
there
gonna.
was a suggestion here that I wanted to share with you. Oh, something around grouping. Okay, yeah. You should make a few contacts, like a section or a grouping based on interest.
Oh, so yeah, I kind of already have that in here, but we could maybe modify it. So let me go back to here. So I do have the ability to have like groups. So this could be like live stream. And then if I come in here, I have the ability to like tag people in these groups, or I can add tags like, let's say, vibe coder. So I do have the ability to add tags and group people. And then I can organize or sort them based on, so if I add myself to the Replit group and I go to the Replit group, I'll show up here. But if I'm not in the Replit group, I'll only show up in the live stream. So I have all contacts, live stream. So yeah, maybe there's, and that's what I wanted to collapse. Like maybe what I could do though, okay, let me start a new task. Okay, on the left side of our UI where we have our grouping, when collapsed, I would like to still show the groups almost like a Discord server where I just have the first letter of each group in a little circle so that when the sidebar's collapsed, I can still navigate between my different groups. Okay, because you can see right here when I collapse a sidebar, I lose my groups. So it would be nice if I could like still see my groups there. And so now we can see proper pro plan. I've got 3 tasks running in parallel in the background here. You can see it's still got the draft. So this is the one that I just told it. So it's coming up with the plan for this. And then let's see, this is the media and resources tab that it's working on. This is my broken contact activity log. I did just fire off a couple like suggested tasks. So some of these I'm not real sure what's going on. I just wanted to get a bunch of tasks going. So I just said yes to all the suggested tasks. Let's see, remember sidebar width. Okay. So this one is basically saying, yeah, hang on, let me log in. Okay. So what we did here is basically like, let's say I refresh this. This is going to remember that I had the tab collapsed. Whereas before, like if I go to the main and I collapse this and then I refresh the page, it's going to open the, oh, it should have just opened that again. Maybe not. All right. Let's see. Task is complete. Let me look and see what it just did. Add drag to resize for the expanded group sidebar. Oh, no, that's what it did. It let me expand this thing. Okay. All right. So I misread that, but there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and, so if I go back to my main branch, we do not have that feature, right? I do not have the ability to like expand or resize this, right? So if I open this, there's no way for me to expand or resize that. But if I apply these changes, see now it's purple. Okay. It's going to come in, updating the environment. That means it's merging a task. It's going to create a checkpoint here in a second. Boom. All right. And now I have that functionality on my main branch. Okay, let the users resize the contact list column too. Sure. Add a double click shortcut to reset the sidebar to its default width. Nah.
Rejected. And I get a couple of questions here in terms of what's available on different plans. Again, if you're on core, you get to work with up to 2 agents in parallel. And if you upgrade to pro, then you get up to 10 agents cranking and working with you. And then Vaquero Carlos, Cowboy Carlos, saying that at this point he hopes that we're getting affiliate links, so we deserve credits for all these pro signups. I think we're just happy to we're just happy when new users get like more use out of Replit and get to like all the bells and whistles. Because like me and Reimer, we live in pro and enterprise, and we're like, yeah, there's a couple things we can't live without. So I think that's like all the credit that I need is you guys getting to work with 10 agents in parallel. And I just think like this is a new skill set. Michele has mentioned this before, is that now like the new role is like being a manager of agents. So right now, like up until now, you've worked with just Replit agent one-on-one. Now, if you're on core, 2 agents. If you're on the pro plan, 10 agents. But I think in the future, it's going to be like even more than that. And so the question is like, how do you learn how to divvy up the work? How do you learn how to monitor the work of these different agents? How do you merge it all together so that when you have to move fast, like we had the Build-A-thon 10, like Replit 10 Build-A-thon, like you can move like super fast. You just like unload like a whole bunch of agents working for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to point out one thing. I dismissed a suggested task, and it did come to this canceled section. So I was right earlier, where these canceled tasks do show up here, and then you can restore. I think you can restore those. But yeah, just a heads up, when you dismiss a suggested tab, it does come into the cancel tab. I saw a question here. Where is it? Out of curiosity, if you have two task actions the same that have very clearly opposing requests, changing the color to red and changing to green, those are not things you want to run parallel tasks for. You know, like don't run parallel tasks for changing text. Like you just change that in the main thread. You know, like you should run a parallel task for something that's kind of an actually fully baked feature that requires a proper task plan. If you're doing something like changing a color, changing a text or something like that, just do that in the main thread. Just make the quick update. Maybe even use the visual inspector, you know, the element selector, and just kind of make that change directly on the UI. That's what I would suggest there. Okay, so fix broken contact activity logs. So note, what is this saying? Edits and saves correctly. Okay, apply changes to main. Great. Let's see what else is working on here. Media and resources tab. Where are we at on this thing? Let me clean up the session plan. Task complete. Let's mark it. Let's see. We're going to log in. Okay, media and resources. Oh, look, community builder at rhymar.com.
Ooh.
So it did pull in my research and brought no research yet. I think let me see if the AI research. Interesting. So again, I think don't hold us to like this being the most beautiful AI driven application here. Like we weren't really thinking too much about like the refinement of all the features and how they all work together. We're really just trying to show you kind of how to manage tasks in parallel in the background. But then you could go through a bunch and just kind of organize this, and you know, we could refine this and we could go forever thinking about what we want to put in here. But let's just see if an image works if I upload that.
And as you're doing that, quick question here from Ezekiel. So how do parallel agents coordinate tasks without stepping on each other? I think Rymar touched on this a couple of times, but what's happening, the task is it's like doing a point in time snapshot of your main code base, and it's forking that. So the tasks themselves don't have the ability to look at what other tasks are doing. So this is why Rymar is saying like best practice is to try to compartmentalize where you're running tasks. So try to work on different things so that when you go back to merge, you don't have too many conflicts. So right now they're not looking at what the other agents are doing in the parallel tasks. I think that'll change in the future. I can see that changing as well. So you take a peek at what everybody else is doing, but for right now, best just compartmentalize them.
Yeah. This should be pretty easy because this is just resizing the column size. Make column sizing work with the keyboard. We don't want any of that stuff. No, thank you. But yeah, now I should be able to kind of click in here and adjust this. So again, these are not like groundbreaking features, right? Adjusting the size of sidebars and stuff like that. However, it's just the fact that you could keep doing a bunch of these in the background and just keep adding these little updates while you're working on like the main core of the app. And the better you get at kind of compartmentalizing and being in the flow of working with the app, and then as things come up to you in the background, and you're just like, oh, let me fire these off in the background, to be able to queue those things up, to get into that workflow of like, here's the things I want just kind of happening in the background, just becomes super helpful, especially again, as you want to move a little faster and get the most out of your time inside of Replit here. Okay, so this is a more clear example of why I might want to click this button. I've just updated a couple tasks, right? So if I'm in a branch here, I'm in a new task, and I can see that I have the ability to resize this, but I don't have the ability to resize this. That's because I merged a change into the main branch that this task doesn't have. So if I update from main here, and it gives it a second, what I should then get is the ability to pull in and adjust this sidebar. So let's just see if we broke anything, but let's see if that works too. So now I should be able to update this, and once that's done, pulling in from the main, I should get those updates too. So just again, just an example of when you might want to pull those changes in from main is after you've merged some new features into main and you're in another branch and you want those changes to reflect back into that subtask. And here it is, by the way. So now I'm in that subtask, and the changes I made to the main branch are now visible in my subtask. Right. So that's useful for a bunch of different reasons, where it's like, if I'm working on stuff and I'm changing things and now I'm in this subtask where it's like, I've made all these changes and I've pushed some of these parallel tasks into the main branch, but I don't see them in this new task that I'm working on. That's where that little blue, sync from main button is going to come into handy, because all those changes that have now been pushed into the main branch are going to be reflected in that sub branch. So again, that's part of the Git workflow, that if you're a software developer and you're familiar with kind of how Git works, you're like, oh, that's amazing. You've literally abstracted the entire process of, managing the Git workflow. But for you all, it's just a one-click, button. That's typically referred to as a fetch or a pull or something like that inside of GitHub or inside of Git.
My goodness, you remember having to learn all of this before Agent? Like the Git branching, the Git, the reset, the push to main. It was a nightmare. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Media and Resources tab. I'm just going to go ahead and apply again. Just going to go ahead and apply that to main. Let users reorder photos in the gallery. Sure. Let users attach files. Feel like sure. Yeah, we're just going to send it. We're just going to send all the tasks in the background. We're just going to tell it to do everything. And so you see, we're not really doing much in the main branch here, but you can see every time updated environment, updated environment, updated environment, updated environment. Every time that's happening, that's one of those tasks. That's one of those parallel tasks coming back into the main branch, getting merged back into the main project. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the main branch. I'm going to add a new contact. I'm going to Germani Bernabe.
That's
me. Say, let's go. I'll put on VIP.
Please, bro.
Create the contact. And let's see what happens here. Oh, it's researching.
Let's go right away.
Okay, so I'm noticing something that I hate, by the way. There's some over scroll. I don't like this at all. So I'm going to start a new task. And I'm going to say, in our contact details section, when I have a contact selected, there is overflow scroll happening where some of the content overlaps outside of the viewport. We need to make sure that there is no over scroll in this section, that elements wrap properly, that all the UI is kind of responsive and fits inside of the allotted space, and that adjusts as the sidebar and contact sidebar are all modified and manipulated. So we need to go through and do a full pass on really the whole application, just to make sure things are a little bit more responsive, especially in our contact detail section when I have a contact selected. Okay, one more thing that I want to just point out, we point this out all the time, is that we're just using natural language as we talk to the agent here, right? So you're not hearing me use a lot of like crazy technical terms. I'm not talking a lot about specific software things. You did hear me say overflow, right? So that's a CSS property that is part of like CSS and kind of understanding a little bit of that. So that's what we talk a little bit about, learning some language about how this stuff works. But you could literally just say, hey, it's scrolling to the side, the content's overflowing, and usually the agent will kind of start to understand what you're asking it for. You could also take a screenshot and show it to the agent. And so, yeah, those are, again, just to know that like you don't have to get super technical, or you don't have to be super specific about how you kind of talk with the agent. Obviously, the more specific you get, the better you get at organizing your thoughts in those prompts, the better result you're going to get. But it's amazing how good the agent will get at doing these things, just understanding what you're trying to do. So this is interesting, Manny, to go where you're talking about. No existing task covers responsiveness or overflow, so I'll create a new one now. So it did look at the other tasks and see what was going on. So I know it maybe not have like real-time context, but it for sure is referencing and seeing like, is something else talking about this or looking at this? And so that's also very useful.
That's so cool. Quick shout out to Basim. Hey, yeah, no problem joining late. All of these are recorded. They're always going to live on YouTube. Just head over to the live section and you'll find all the live streams that we've done. They're also on LinkedIn. They're also on X. And yes, Basim, one of the underappreciated features of parallel tasks is the ability to collaborate across many different types of people. I think for folks on this stream, a lot of solo builders, maybe not so much the case, but as we're pushing Replit into enterprise, this is one of the most talked about features, is the ability to have 10 people in one project, each working on their individual feature or fork of the project, and then having one manager come back and merge all of those tasks or the ones that they like or don't like back to main. So for enterprise and for businesses, the collaboration part is a major wow factor with these parallel agents.
Yeah. And I'm going to do something here where I'm just going to go ahead and on all these, I'm just going to say automatically apply changes. So I'm going to go into these like different tasks, and you'll see at the top, I have the ability to see the task. And instead of me manually merging them, I'm just going to go ahead and tell it, hey, when you're ready for this, just go ahead and send it, apply changes. So this one, I think, was the PDF and adding other files. Let's see. Warn users before they upload files that are too large. Show a preview thumbnail or icon based on the file type. Okay, let's send it. We're just in the parallel. We're just in the we're just letting the agent run and do its thing here. We're going to see what we get to. Typically, on a project like this, I'd have a very specific vision. I'd have a very specific outcome that I want to kind of get to. Today, we're just showing you that you can just start throwing stuff at this thing. You can start asking questions, and you can still get to something that's actually very usable and look at this, community manager at Replit. It did your research, Manny. Let's see what it came back. Let's see what it came back on the activity. Look at
let's
this.
see here.
Portfolio brought back your website, YouTube, Substack, applying artificial intelligence to project IoT, practically deploying AI with your smart products. I don't know if this stuff is you.
That's my old podcast. Yeah.
Maintains a public portfolio. Look at this. AI. So again, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to replace your market research type thing. But I mean, in a couple hours, we've built a full CRM here that allows me to manage by groups. I'm going to add a new group. I'm going to call Manny, let's say AI leaders. And then I'll go to Manny and I'll go add him to AI leaders. And I'm going to add a tag and be like co-workers.
I love this, dude.
Boom.
Think about integrating this into your marketing plan. So if you have these groups and you have like different copy or different promotions you're sending out to different people, you can just tie this in. That I think would be really cool too.
We could, okay, so this is something that if we wanted to, we could import contacts from I could connect a ConvertKit or a MailChimp or a SendGrid or whatever other tool I have. I could just pull them in here. This thing's going to run the research, put them into groups for me, and then now I can send groups based on whatever activity I want. I could connect this to Notion and say, hey, store these notes in Notion, or hey, I have this file on each person, bring those Notion records in and attach them to each contact and let me create a new Notion record every time I create an activity for this user. So we're really just tinkering with a lower limits of what this thing could be, but there's not a lot of limitations on where you could go from here, taking something like this and building it into your automations, workflows, etc.
One other thing that I'll note is that we didn't spend any time optimizing the prompt that you fed into it. So if you don't like the results that you're getting, you can spend some time really going deep on that, and you might find that valuable, just optimizing the prompt. You can also optimize the data that the agent is pulling. So for example, for these types of use cases, I've used specific types of API services. One is Exa8.ai. The other one I think is Clay, but they're specialized services that are used just for contacts for this type of lead, management type of thing. So those are two things that I would tell you. You spend some time on the prompt, optimizing the prompt, and you can also think about adding different services, APIs that you plug into this functionality to make it really rich. And this will be this could get really, really good, really fast.
Yeah, and I mean, yes. So the reason this idea came to me is because just moved to SF, and I'm thinking like, oh, I got to start like thinking about, I'm gonna meet all these people. And so I've been thinking about like, how am I going to manage all these people I meet and kind of like start storing and organizing this. And I'm not sure this is the answer for what I'm going to actually use, right? But it's what inspired me to think like this would be a good demo to just start showing like what's possible, and then to have all these different things running in the background. So again, task update, ready for review. Let's show a preview. What is that? So again, look at the colors. Always look at the colors. Let's clear this comment just so people can see the screen real quick. Okay, so we can see here that I had this kind of yellow ready for review. And if I look on my left sidebar, I can see there's a matching yellow task there. So if I want more details, I just click on that. And again, it's going to show me, it's going to take me into that task context, into that branch of my project. And it's going to tell me exactly what it did, right? What did I try to do here? Show a preview thumbnail or icon based on the file type. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply that. And I think that's on the file upload. So a second ago, we created this like resources tab. So if I come over here, we have this media and resources tab. Hang on, it's going to load. So we have this media and resources tab. So if I click on something and upload, let's see if it works. Hang on, let me refresh. Let me just see if this works. Let me see if it'll take it to my profile. Okay, so our media upload is not working. So we're going to start a new task, and we're going to say I'm going to click this time. I'm going to click, and I'm going to click on the image here. Actually, let's go to the media resource. Let's click the media and resources, and I'm going to select with our element selector this upload button, and I'm just going to tell it, okay, when I am in the media and resources, and I try to upload a file, the file is not actually uploading. I'm not seeing it in the media or resources tab. Same thing with the user profile avatar. When I try to upload it, can we make sure our Replit object storage is set up and working properly so that all these images actually upload and save for the user's record when applied? Okay, so there's another task in the background. Make group colors readable, apply the changes. Apply all the changes. This is not best practices for development. We're not doing any code review. We're not doing any like verification. We're just sending it, right? This is pure vibe coding is happening right here, right?
Oh, Ryan, we're getting a couple of questions on cost. So like, what's the overall usage for this demo that we've been building? What's the best way to track AI usage costs on an app like this? Understanding this is a prototype, but maybe you have some suggestion for people to like, kind of get a quick tally in terms of what they're in for a particular build.
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to kind of just keep track of that as it goes. So just like in the main thread, so if I go to the main thread here, right, and I kind of go up and I find like a checkpoint. Let me just go to like a recent checkpoint or something that is here where it worked. Since I've been doing most of the work in, okay, here it goes, worked for 11 minutes. So it's going to tell you, like $5.84. If I go to, another task and I say it worked for 5 minutes, it's still going to tell me exactly how much. So there's no good way yet to kind of see like the total cost at each subtask or for the whole project. I do wish there was a little bit more visibility on that, but you kind of have to keep track on a per task basis and kind of see how it goes through there. I tend to track this stuff just as I go and kind of just keep a heuristic in my head, especially before I was on the Replit team and they were covering my costs. So there it goes. Take Contact Mobile with a native companion app. What time we got? You think this thing probably can't build a native app in 10 minutes, huh?
I think it could.
Let's do it.
Kick it off. Why not?
Just send it.
I can't tell like enough people about the multi-artifact capability now with Agent 4. Like, it just blows people away. The idea that you can have all of your artifacts in one project, your website, your mobile app, your your content, your images, your presentations, your slides, your videos, all in one place. I don't get enough. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, and here found a little bit of a conflict. I added it. One of the tasks told it to add some colors to make sure the colors were visible in the sidebar, and then the other one said, "Hey, add the number of people in each contact group." And so it was kind of conflicted because two things were working at the same time there. It was like, hey, I need to change the color of these groupings, but I also need to add a number to these groupings. And so the agent had some conflict there. And you can see I'll merge both directly, keep the badge wrapper plus the readable background text color. So again, the agent's thinking, conflict resolved. It's already doing this, and the rebase is committed. I dare you to go look up what a rebase is and read horror stories about people rebasing their application and understand how hard it is, or how like you could get stuck in like real deep technical rabbit holes. I remember when I first started learning GitHub and I like accidentally just clicked the rebase button and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, oh, and I just broke. Like it took me forever until I was like, I just force pushed a new copy of the app, which is not what you want to do. But anyway,
I got to take a moment.
Here we go, though. Hang on. Look,
sorry.
Sorry. No, go ahead. They're there. You can see our blue dots are disappearing slowly on the left. And as we go into the main app, all of our functionality, like, okay, so now we can close. I can see that I have my different groups here, just like we talked about before. I can see how many contacts are in each group.
Oh.
Yeah. So again, it's not the most refined thing in the UI standpoint. I think I could go back and really spend some time refining the UI and kind of the core functionality here, but we're getting there, and this is super useful. It's all here. I don't know. Yeah, I might end up tinkering with this, to be honest. Even the responsiveness, look, like the responsiveness that was there before, like, look, it's now fixed. It's not overflowing anymore, so like, and I don't even remember like thinking through these things. I was just, boom, I'm just chain of thought, right? Like I'm mostly focused on the stream here and chatting with you guys and just bang, 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 let this stuff go. And look at it. It's just coming together, right? And so again, just another sample of like, you can just really get into the flow with this thing.
And it's all custom. That's the important thing. Like it's built to exactly what you care about, and you can plug it into other apps that you want to plug into. So that's the other key thing. Like this is going to be like exactly what you want, and you're going to be able to iterate on this over time. Here comes the mobile app. Let's go.
Look, y'all are not, listen, y'all are not, this is ridiculous. So here's our website. Here's our mobile app. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get a mobile app. We're going to get a mobile app and we'll see how much it's going to cost. I didn't tell it what to put in the mobile app. I didn't tell it to like organize or layout or style. I didn't do anything. So we're just going to see what we get. But here we go. I'll open this in Expo here in a second. And yeah, we're in the middle of a CRM. And oh, you know what? Let's do one more thing. Let's new task. Can you also create a quick pitch deck for me so that I can take this product to market and share the main value proposition of everything that our CRM does here? Let's keep it to like, 6 to 8 slides with the core value proposition, the core feature outlines, and just some value benefit versus like traditional CRMs. I don't know. Let's see what happens. So now you saw us like, we built the app, we're added this functionality, and we're going to add a mobile app to this thing. And who knows? We'll see what we get done. But yeah, this wild. It's just, so cool. Yeah.
I want to take a moment to address a comment that I saw in the chat. Farshan, sorry to hear that maybe you didn't have the best experience with the support team, but I'll tell you that most folks really appreciate our support team as of late. So maybe it's just the kind of the context you're providing support. So I'd love to hear more about that. Drop your ticket. We'll follow up on it. Make sure that we get that fixed if there's something on our end.
Who in the audience should we drop into our contact manager and see what they come up with?
Well, here's another suggestion, Raimar. I don't know if you wrote with this, but I think it would be cool to send like a link to someone and say, "Hey, drop your info in here," and then automatically ports into my CRM.
Can we add tags to our left sidebar so that we can organize by tags as well as by groups? Okay, so that's one. And then let's start a new task. And tell me what you said again. You want me to basically be able to send somebody a link and have them fill out their contact profile,
like a magic link or something like that.
Okay, can we create an outbound link that I can send to somebody to have them fill out their contact profile? So essentially, I'd like to be able to grab a link, send somebody this URL, and have them input all of the details to enter my CRM as much as they want to fill out. That they don't have to fill out all the fields, but at least the core fields from the main profile, they should be able to fill out from an external form that we can just link to them with one click. Anything else we want to add to that?
I think that's good. There's a couple people that are lining up to get into the CRM. I think they just want to see what the research comes back with on them.
Okay, let's see. So let's add a contact. What do we say, Kaiser?
Yeah, let's
it's
do Kaiser.
Kizzer.
Oh, it's Kizzer,
sorry. We hung out the other day, and
you hung out with Kizzer?
I did on Saturday. A couple of us got together.
Post a photo. Kizzer's a legend in the fast rising legend.
All right, so there we go. Look, he's a business contact. It just dropped in here. It's researching him. I'm going to go ahead and put him in AI leaders, live stream, and vibe coders. And now he's tagged. And let's see what it comes back. Who else?
We need a Replit legend tag.
Oh, okay. Angelina. What's the last name?
I just posted on the screen.
Okay, nice. Okay. Well, screen contact. Okay, new. All right, so it's researching that. Look, director of development at Engage USA. I don't know if that's true or not. Activity. Let's see. Nonprofit leader currently serving as director of development. Oh, okay. So this maybe didn't. I'm not sure if this is you or not. And HuffPost both described as having. Nah, there might be somebody else with your name. So this. Okay, so this is where. I wonder if with our rerun research we need to like maybe be able to identify who, because this is where it gets difficult if somebody has the same name.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's not perfect. But this is the type of could not confidently identify this contact from public sources. Interesting. Okay. All right. So this is one of those things where like the AI research was like a little throw in. What I would do here probably is I would probably think about like, how can I give it a little bit more specifics? Like, can I give it a link or two to research, or can I give it an email or two? Oh, bro, we could totally connect this with a Gmail and like link emails to this thing. Like just, yeah, lots of stuff that could be, yeah. Relink. Please open the secrets tab. I deleted the 3 secrets. Good. I can't find these. Walk me through it. What? I'll provision a fresh, properly linked bucket. I don't know about that. Okay, we're not going to mess with that right now. I think it something happened with how it linked up the storage bucket, but. How should it enter here and land in a review queue so I approve before it comes to contact? Go straight to my new contact automatically. Yes. One reusable link I can share with anyone. A U-link per person I invite. Yes. Okay. Add tags to sidebar. Here's where. Okay, let's just start building it. And then I think we're probably gonna
we should wrap
this at some point. We could just go forever. Like we could literally just keep building. Is the most?
Can you show the mobile app?
Yeah, let's take a look. Take contact mobile.
Still cooking.
But it. Yeah, let's see. View all creations. Oh, let's see. Created an image. Here's the mobile. Here's the website. Yeah, maybe let's give this let's give this a second, see what happens on the mobile, and then we'll wrap it up. CRM product pitch. What's this doing? Create contact pitch deck. Oh yeah, start building. Organize contacts. Create outbound links. Start building. All right. Yeah, and maybe I don't know what the best move to like let people explore this if they want to explore this. Sometimes if you see stuff like this, you see my preview is a little wonky here. You can just kind of close out of that, reopen your preview, and usually that will fix whatever's going on. So just a heads up, if you run into things like that, there's a million things going on in here. So sometimes, like the UI just gets a little stuck. You got to like give it a little refresh for where it is.
Uncle Fatty here suggesting that we drop in an API for crime tracker and a background check. So before you meet someone, get a background check on them.
I'm just going to tell it to just fix it and let's see what it does. All right, shareable links. Oh, pitch deck, slides. It's working. All right. Well, I mean, I think it's just one of those, again, I don't know where we could let this thing just go forever. Shareable links, organized contacts, create a contact, pitch deck. All right. I would like to see what it does with the pitch deck and the mobile before we walk out of here, but we will. I think we'll call this a successful stream. I think for sure we were not defeated. There were a couple moments where we stalled. We did have to remix the project because I think going from core to pro, just remember that on core you're only going to get one parallel task at a time. On pro, you can have up to 10 parallel tasks at a time. So that's the main differentiator and probably the reason you should be upgrading to pro. And mostly just understanding the difference between the main and the background threads, right? Navigating between those threads, is really the core here. And then as you start adding more features and more tasks, there's just a lot more mental load that you need to think about, right? Like when you're vibe coding and you're just thinking at one thing at a time, it's easy to just kind of be focused in that one thread and just kind of go directly at that. Once you start thinking about like other stuff and you start adding all these different tasks, your mental load has to expand because now you're like, I'm working on 3 or 4 different parts of the app. And then you have to think about how those kind of come in together. And so as you see, the Replit agent will kind of do most of the heavy lifting for you, but it does expand your kind of cognitive load to be able to think about all these different pieces at once. All right.
And this is actually pretty helpful, right, Ramar? Remixing it. So Ruth is asking, did the remix spin it up instantly? Yeah, like you just remixed it and you just were like, just reset it and we're ready to go.
So went straight in. Yeah, and I should go see. Let's do this.
Go checking back on the original project.
Let's go look at the old one and let's go look at the other one and see what kind of happened back there. Let's go to Contact Hub. It's waiting for me. Yeah, see, so it's still on that active AI research task. You see what I'm saying? So I think something got stuck in here because of the core plan. And we should probably maybe bring that up to the product team.
Yep.
Because I think, I think what happened was because I told it to run in the background and then it was like, hey, upgrade to pro. And then we had that weird moment between upgrading to pro where I was like, just build it in the main thread. It kind of like got stuck at the top there. So I'm not really sure, but we're going to go and investigate and understand what happened there.
When in doubt, remix.
Okay, apply changes. Let's see what happened. Fix broken file. All right, let's see. Let's wait till that comes back to main and see if the image upload works now. Select a contact. Let's see, Rymar. Come on, baby. Why you do that? Okay, it looks like it did not. Oh, you know what could also be happening here? Because we mixed it, I wonder if the object storage bucket ID. Okay, this could be because it brought over the other configurations from the other object storage bucket. So I'm not gonna dig into that, but that's a fairly easy fix. I would just need to replace those secrets and tell it to reconfigure it. But we're not gonna get into that for this one. What I want to see is the mobile. Where's my mobile app? Ah!
Ooh.
Here it is. Log in with Replit. Mobile app. There's Beautiful. My leaders. Here's my stuff. Here's my media and research. Here's my and I if I want to open this up in Expo Go here. Oh, what's happened? Mobile. I'm gonna just let this thing load up in. Hang on, let's close these. All right, so let me, now that it's ready, click this guy. And what was that? Okay, 15 minutes it took to build the mobile app. It was at 10:55 Pacific time when we asked it to kind of do its thing.
Wild,
we're 15 minutes later. When do we ask? Let's see, show previous messages, show previous messages. I want to go to the beginning of this. Oh no, I'm in the main thread. Yeah, 15 minutes, I think, is what we ended up approximately on that.
And again, with the same styling, with the same authentication, with all of the context from the database, all in your mobile app. Insane. 15 minutes, folks.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to reload here. Yeah, I mean, and this is the same database, same content, same everything. Okay, it's loading, 100%. There we go. All right. There's my app. Log in with Replit. Let me see if it will let me. Because I'm using login with Replit, I'd have to log in through the browser. But yeah, it's there. It's live. You're just gonna have to trust me that this is now a React Expo native app that I could send to the App Store if I wanted to. Unreal.
Great session, right, Mark? People are loving it. It's great. I think, again, this is an important skill, and if it feels a little weird, it's totally fine. It's a new era, but I think this is going to be an important skill to focus on. You're now a manager of agents, and the question is how well you can manage those agents, how well you can delegate work, review their work, and move fast when you have to. So when you have a deadline, you have a 2-hour deadline to complete a lot of things. You need to be able to spin up a whole bunch of agents and manage that army of agents and do it well. So I suggest, like, even as you're working on projects on your own where you may not feel like you need to do this, just do it to start building up that skill set.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it got through all the tasks basically, except for the shareable links, which I think it's creating a test right now to basically to finish that up, and then the slide deck, which again is here. It's not merged in yet. Okay, so I can't access it just there yet. But yeah, give me a sec. And this pitch deck is also app is in recovery mode. It's because the preview is probably just waiting for this to merge back in. Complete and verified. Marking the task at done. Just give me a second. We'll merge this in and. Yeah, I mean, so it's one of those things where it's like you are the limit of what this thing can do, right? From a technical standpoint, yeah, there's, you're going to run into some roadblocks, but if you got patience, if you got the ability to kind of like dig in and really like spend some time on it. And of course, we're live streaming. So like, we're trying to deal with the audience and this and that. It's like, it's not the perfect instance of like, hey, here's exactly what I would do if I was building this for production. But you can easily start to see how powerful this becomes for you to just, do any of this type of thing. So I think maybe we leave it here. I don't know how much longer we want to wait for these.
I think just one last look at that mobile app and call it done.
I know. I would like to see that mobile app.
Oh, it's not coming up. Oh, there it is.
No, it's here.
Oh, okay.
It's here. It's already. I was trying to get to the pitch deck. I wanted to get the pitch deck, so it's here. But because I'm in a side task, because I'm in a background task, the canvas doesn't work exactly as expensive as the preview. So I just I want to just wait till this thing's done. I want to merge it back into main, and then I want to see what if we can visualize these slides and see what it came up with here. Because right now it's not loading it because I think, again, because of the way the canvas works inside of
a task.
Yeah, inside of these subtasks. But here we go. The website, slides, and mobile app all on one canvas here, which again is just unreal. I'm going to reload the preview, see what happens.
That was an interesting part of our conversation with Stanley on Friday around Canvas and how to deal with multiple tasks in Canvas. So I think there is like some work to be done in terms of how to merge these two powerful features like Canvas and multi-task running in parallel. Like I feel like it's going to be different in a couple of months based on what the feedback we get from the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, Canvas is such a powerful tool, and the ability to just kind of see all these different pieces on the canvas is a really powerful tool, but it's not hard to see how complex and difficult it can be to kind of get these all working perfectly in sync. And so, here we go. Deck still renders correctly after the rebase. And I saw something updated here. Let's see, slides, present. Oh, it's trying, y'all. Oh, that's right. And they're all kind of getting merged back in because I told it to merge automatically. So if you notice, I haven't been having to merge any of these other tasks back in. They're just kind of happening.
Just merge them.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to do that. Like if you have a well-defined task and it's something that you know is great and it's going to work fine, you might want to do that. If it's something that's going to require some testing, I wouldn't always just say, hey, merge these things like that, right? I would probably like want to manually pick and I want to go test and I want to see that the thing works before I just let it kind of go off and do its thing. Because you could get a little overwhelmed, right? Like you could end up in a place where it's like, now you've made too many changes. I don't know what to test. I don't know where to go to like troubleshoot. I don't know which one of these maybe broke something bigger. And so when you're building things like this, you kind of always want to like get to a place where the app is stable, everything works, and then you build the next feature, and then you get it to stable, everything works, and then you build the next feature. If you start doing a bunch of parallel tasks like this and you just start slamming a bunch of stuff into it, it'll be very difficult to know like, where did I make a mistake? Where do I have to roll back to, right? And so you just, like based on your confidence, based on, the clarity and the confidence you have in the prompt itself is whether or not I would like kind of merge these things directly or whether I would take some more time to test them before I just merge those. Oh, here's our intake links.
Ooh.
Okay, so who's this for? Let's say I'm just gonna say for Manny, create a link. Can I copy this? Manny, I'm just gonna send this to you.
Slack it to me, dude, or put it in the chat, the private chat.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, in the private chat. And just put some random name in here. Maybe not Manny, but just put some random something or other. Contacts create automatically when they submit. Let's see if it works. Let's see if I end up with a new contact. And let's see. Delete this contact. Okay. What else was I going to check here? So I have intake links. Look, our tags are here. If I minimize that, I have the different. Oh, nice. And it gave me labels so that as I hover, I can see what the labels are. Oh, the image upload is the thing that we never really fully tested.
I sent it.
Okay, let me refresh. And look at this, by the way. I'm now in our media and resources tab. These are the links that came in from the AI. So the AI found these links. I know this is not Kizzer. This is not like accurate to you. But let me just rerun the research and see if those links come back into my media and resources section. So we'll see in our media and resources section, I don't have any resources yet, but I want to see after I rerun this AI research, what it fills in here. Because again, I thought that was really cool. I just noticed that it did that for...
I also suggest you dropping or showing that link that you sent me. The UI looks really clean. It's exactly like your app. And so like, it did a good job designing the input thing too.
Already submitted.
Oh, already submitted. Wow, it's smart. So it's like only like unique link per person. Okay, that's so cool, dude.
And look at this. Here's all the research it just did. Podcast, startup, links, Huffington Post, Webflow, the team. Like, wow. So here's all those resources. Oh, look, images. found images from around the web. I mean, This is super cool, guys. I know this is just like a basic thing and it's not like the be all end all contact manager, but I mean, just think we built this in 2 hours, guys.
And there's my contact information, Billy Bob.
Billy Bob is in the house.
Let's go.
And he entered like
VIP heavy hitter.
Bro.
Let's go.
This is great. I mean, what else can you say? What else can you say? This is just it's a little unreal. It's a little unreal.
Okay. I think before we go, we gotta try Angelina because we misspelled her name. So it's instead of I think you put in Angeline, it's Angelina. We can't leave Angelina hanging here.
All right, let's click the rerun the research and see.
Fave Angelina. Gotta see what we get. Even though we are way over time. We're at overtime now, folks.
That's right. All right. Let's see, Vibe Coders community. Yeah, and I don't know. This gives me some. I've been thinking about building something like this for myself, and this just gave me some really good like ideas for what. Is this it? Break the Pattern, National Women's Day, Angelina Marie WordCamp San Diego, Forbes Business Council, YouTube channel. Is this you?
Angelina, did we get it?
Hey!
Hey, here we go.
Break the pattern.
There she is.
Yeah, this like.
Let's
go. Come on now. I mean, of course. Okay. Could I do this with a Google search? Yes, of course. Like, yeah, it's not as much fun as this, you know? And like, and then I could get better at like how I like what context I give it for doing this research. You know, like again, I connect it to my email. I drop her email in here. Maybe in the contact info, if I have somebody's email in here and I connect this to my Gmail, it pulls all the emails from that person in here and I can see all my recent communications from that person inside of here. Like, come on.
Well, two things. One is you can highly customize this. So like if you care about just Angelina being active, like in a certain area or in a certain category, you can pull specifically for that. Two, you can do this at scale. So imagine you go to a conference and you collect 200 contacts into your app. And you're just like, as you're collecting those, boom, AI is running. You're getting questions right away. You're able to do follow-ups like within 15 minutes. Like that's huge. You can't do that like just like Google searching stuff like that. So as you're collecting names, it's already researching it. Like, oh, and AI is giving suggestions like, oh, like try to find this person, connect them to this other person, or do something like that, and do that for 200, 300, 400 people. That could be a game changer.
Not only that, but then like imagine if I on the mobile app, I want to refine it and I want to give it access to the camera. And I say, hey, I want to be at an event and I want to scan your business card. I want to scan your name tag, whatever it is, right? And that will give me your email, your LinkedIn, your whatever. And now I can give that as extra context to the AI to figure out what should it go find about you, you know? So here's Ruth. I just threw Ruth in here and, you know, here's all the, you know, here's a bunch of Ruth's stuff from, yeah.
I didn't even know Ruth had a YouTube channel. There you go. See?
Here she is.
Awesome. Sub, automatic sub.
So, yeah. Can you add LinkedIn? You could add anything you want to this. You know, literally you could add anything you want to this. We just built like the core primitives of this. I still kind of am blown away all the time by, you know, like what you can get done. I want to show you guys something. Let's see if it loads. This is how it started. Right? Ooh. If we go back to the first contact hub and I go to main and I go all the way back to like the beginning of this. Can I go back? Hang on. Let me see if it lets me. I think it's still stuck somewhere up here. It's not going to let me go back. But anyway, I basically told it to build this and keep it real simple. And I wanted a simple CRM. And I gave it this little wireframe. And, you know, somehow here we are with this cool little thing that.
Some folks are asking about remixing this app, Reimer.
I'd like to remix this app. Can you make it? Yeah, sure. Of course. I'm happy to make this public and share it in the.
So make sure you're registered on Luma, because then in the follow-up email, you can.
Yeah, I'll share the remix link in the Luma invite. Yep. All right. Well, that's all I got, folks. This has been great. And hopefully y'all learned something. And yeah, go build some cool shit.
Awesome, dude. Great work. Yeah, I mean, the comments that are here at the end, they're loving it. Under promising, over delivering. People can't get enough of these deep dives. So amazing. Again, we have on Thursday, we're going live with a new concept, Build Your Business Live with us. We're going to grab a couple of folks from the community, and we're just going to start building their business on Replit, giving them suggestions, and we'll see where it goes. I think it's going to be a fun show the first time we're doing it. So if anything, come and find out how me and Reimer squirm with a new type of concept. And then on Friday, big news. We have two great launches that are happening this week that I can't talk about yet, but I know you're going to love them. So show up on Friday, 9:00 as well, Pacific time. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you on more streams.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning. You guys just wait. There's so much more coming. And
once Rhyme gets settled in, it's gonna be fire, dude.
Yeah, and the tool is just getting better and better, you know, every day. So, yep.
I think we blew a lot of minds here, dude. I love it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we will see you all at VibeCon and Web Summit Rio next week, and on the streams, same bat time, same bat channel. Like we said, you guys keep showing up. We'll keep doing the work, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Peace.